Welcome back to the Viking Update Show. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is TalkNorth.com. Thanks so much for listening. We do appreciate it. The Viking Update is presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio.
That first sip of coffee. Is there anything better? Yup. Coffee made with amazing water from Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy worry-free water throughout your home for less than buying that daily cup of joe. Imagine spotless dishes, softer laundry, and drinking water you can trust. Plus, up to 25% off a new Connecticut system. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
John also, of course, is the namesake of the John Krawczynski Show here at TalkNorth.com. He's done a great job covering the Timberwolves for us this year. And we do have a little crossover today. Josh, we were both at the Timberwolves game on Monday night at Target Center. And Josh Metellus, the wonderful, defensive back for the Vikings. What happened with Josh on Monday night, John?
Yeah, I think it was actually game 3 that he posted it, but he was back in for game 4 as well. But he is sitting courtside at the game and got a warning, a red warning sticker from one of the security guards or ushers in the building for the way that he was supporting the Timberwolves. Let's just say that I don't know what Metellus would have said, but the ushers will hand out those cards to people that they think are being inappropriate in some way, shape, or form. I choose to take this, Jim, as look at this is not a non-Minnesota native that has adopted the Wolves as his team, cheering them on, going crazy. Did he step over a line? I don't know. Well, I think that is in the eye of the beholder. But you see Metellus, you see Justin Jefferson, JJ McCarthy, you see all these Vikings kind of coming out. It's really neat to see them like embrace this. Like Jefferson is the Wolves' #1 fan right now, and so just to see those guys come out and really embrace it and adopt this team as their own is pretty darn cool.
And I remember when I covered Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys back when I started covering pro sports. He loved going to University of Miami basketball games. He just I do think there's a true appreciation because the NFL, they're great athletes. They're amazing athletes. But they're not all balletic. What's the word? They don't all
graceful.
Graceful is the word I'm looking. Thank you. That's a good word. You can be a great football player and not be particularly graceful or even agile. There are different ways of getting it done in different positions in the NFL. I do think there's a great appreciation from football people to just the incredible athletic ability you see on an NBA court.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it's sort of like, what do they say? Like musicians and actors. Every actor wants to be a musician. Every musician wants to be an actor. Every football player wants to play basketball, and every basketball player wanted to play football. I think a lot. There's just a lot of crossover. Many football players played basketball growing up, vice versa. And so like there is just a lot of connection there. I always enjoy. I remember, I think it was the Western Conference Finals last year. We were in Dallas. And Micah Parsons, the Cowboys, defensive end, he's a monster. He's one of the biggest, baddest defensive players in the NFL. He was waiting for Ant after the game, and they took a picture standing right next to each other. And Ant is bigger than Micah Parsons is. Like that's just kind of like it's amazing when you put these guys next to each other. And just I do think that there is something that NFL players sort of respect about that is even like. The biggest NFL player is like a shooting guard at most, in the NBA. But yeah, like you see the enthusiasm and you see, I think in their eyes, like it's not an envy or anything. It's just a wow, like these guys are great. And I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. I think they're amazed by the athletic ability. I think they appreciate these. I was talking to somebody the other day who just doesn't watch NBA basketball. And I'm like, well, you watch college basketball. Why wouldn't you watch NBA basketball? Why wouldn't you watch the league where like a lot of great college basketball players can't even get into because the talent level is so high. And, I do think there are people in the general population who just don't get it. They think it's like the NBA players make it look so easy that they don't appreciate how difficult what they do is. I think NFL players really appreciate it. I also think there is some envy. And here's, I think football is different. Like hockey players, the day they retire, they want to go play hockey. They want to go to a rink and mess around. Baseball players love batting practice. They love hanging around the cage. They love hanging around the clubhouse. Basketball players love playing basketball. If, they go play for fun in the off season. Football players, it's not fun. They do not play a fun sport. They don't go out and hit tackling dummies for fun, So I think they also envy the fact that NBA players actually love the game they play.
Yeah, I think we've discussed it a little bit before, but there's no question of all of the sports. I think that football is the job, the one that's close. This is my job. I do it because I can make a good living. Certainly, they enjoy the competition. They enjoy, the physical feats that it takes to win, and do all that. They love the crowd, all of that stuff. But in the actual experience of playing the game and putting your body through it and everything that it takes, it is, most players do it because it is a job, and that's how they view it. And so, you're right, Jim. There might be a little bit of that jealousy. There's probably also basketball players have their contracts guaranteed. They are playing indoors all the time. It is a more comfortable life, but it also is a harder life because there's only 450 of these jobs, whereas there's just more for football. So, but yeah, I do think that it is basketball is looked at as more of a game, even though it takes an incredible amount of work to do what these NBA players do. But it's looked at more of a game. Football players will play pickup basketball to stay in shape and things like that. No one's playing pickup football to in the off season.
The other thing I'll say, you and I have been privileged to be up close to a lot of this stuff. We used to sit courtside at NBA games, so we're still a little farther back now, but you still get a sense of what's going on. I was walking Monday night. I ended up getting back to my seat a little late in the third quarter, so I ended up walking by the court to get to my seat. And it's hard to describe how different the NBA looks from up close than it does on TV or from the upper deck. The size, the speed, the quickness, and the physicality. This is a full contact sport, and bodies are flying, and every foul sends somebody skidding 20 feet across the court. It's an astonishing sport to see up close.
It is. You don't really. I think I've been numb to it a little bit just because I'm around it all the time now. But when I'm going to take a flight to Oklahoma City today, there's not going to be one person I see in the airport that is 6'10" and 220 pounds. And they're all that way in the NBA. It is something that is jarring, especially the first few times that you see it. The just gigantic nature. Like Julius Randle is an absolute physical monster, like an absolute monster. And you're just, Ant is one of the smaller dudes, in that locker room, in that Wolves locker room, but he's just enormous. And so, it's like that way in football too, but the sheer height that these guys get to is not natural, and it's not normal. And then the physicality that they play with and what they put their bodies through it's an incredible punishment. It's not quite what an NFL game is, but, when you're up close and personal with it, and I do think when Justin Jefferson sits close and sees, these guys, like Justin is like Steph Curry size. Like that's what That's what he is. And Steph is tiny in the NBA, relatively speaking. So the appreciation that they have for it, as high level athletes, I think it even like raises above what, the normal person can really comprehend.
And this is an NFL show, so I want to talk about it in comparison with the NFL. I still remember, and I'm old, I've been covering the Vikings for a million years. I remember they used to have these night game scrimmages in Blakesley Stadium down in Mankato, where it was kind of finally giving the fans a little true live action after all the drudgery of practice. Not that fans look at it as drudgery; fans tend to love it. And I would stand there. I mean, it was one of those times when you stand next to an NFL field and you realize that if you weren't nimble, somebody could just destroy you. Somebody come up and just kill you. And I'm standing there, and this is back in like early 90s. Scott Studwell was playing middle linebacker for the Vikings. And, we all know Scott Studwell. He was he was an incredible competitor. He was incredibly intense, and he loved hitting people. And there was this little wide receiver who had been having a great camp and was kind of trying to put himself in position to be an extra player on the roster. And he just made every catch in camp. He was trash talking. He was spiking the ball in the end zone during drills, just kind of making a show of it. Studwell had enough. This guy catches a little down and in during this practice. And the practice, it wasn't non-contact, but it was don't hurt anybody who is important to us kind of practice, And this little dude runs a down and in. Studwell hit him, and it sounded like, if you've ever been near a wreck on the highway, it sounded like two cars hitting at high speed. And it sounded like a semi hitting a small car at high speed. That's what it was. And Studwell hit him. His helmet went flying. His mouthpiece went flying. And Studwell kind of enveloped him and fell on him. And I didn't know, not only did I not know if the guy was going to get up, I didn't know if he was going to be able to be excavated from the ground. And I'm sitting there going, thank God I never tried to play football, because I would have been that little guy.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like it's, I've been at those Blakesley practices, and it was cool back in the day. I can't remember. I've been down there, or they haven't been down there for a few years, but they did allow us to just right on the sideline. We stood right there. And so you were right in the middle of the action. And I remember thinking I was always backing up a little more, because they move so fast.
Yes.
And it is coming so quick that I couldn't move from a standing spot, like to get out of the way quick enough if I had to. And the speed with which they play, it's startling. And that's just in those little scrimmages. And so then you carry it forward to actual real games, and how much more it ramps up. It's off the charts. It's just off the charts. Like the violence, but the how fast everything moves. And I remember thinking, like, I'm going to give myself a little extra room, because I don't trust myself to be able to move that quickly. That's how quick that it's coming. And if I were in the middle of that unwittingly, we would not be here today. I would not be having this podcast, because I would be dead. No question about it.
NFL players, what they go through, what they put themselves through, what they recover from on a weekly basis, it's mind blowing. And so, listen, all professional athletes are highly paid these days, and I'm really in favor of NFL players getting their money. They are
100%.
They are the employees of the most successful sporting venture in history, at least in North America, and they put themselves through hell to help the league make money. Give them whatever they can get. I want to talk next. A Buffalo website asked, how should we view the Stefon Diggs trade from the Vikings all these years later? And listen, we know how we're going to end up voting, but the process of getting there is more interesting than you might think. I do want to tell you about Giggly THC beverages. I'm drinking these all the time, especially weeknights if I want to have a little chill, but I don't want to deal with a hangover or any lethargy in the morning or a headache. Man, it's such good stuff. I love the flavors. You can get cocktails, teas, seltzers. We love all three. My wife prefers the teas. I prefer the cocktails, but it's all good stuff. It's real fruit juice. It's low calorie. It's healthy. It's low ingredient. Great flavors, low prices, and you can use the promo code GIGLY-NORTH, Gigli North. You get 50% off your first order. And then if you pay attention to the website or sign up for their emails or whatever, they're always offering those kinds of deals. You can get good deals, and it's just great stuff. I still have cocktails on the weekend, but during the week, trying to be productive, trying to get up early. This works so much better for my life, and it tastes really good. You're not sacrificing anything. It tastes really good. So I highly recommend it. Gigly.com. Check it out. Highly recommend it. Also, want to ask you this. I gotta put on the old glasses for this one because I haven't gone to True Vision Institute yet, but I might be. We'll see how that goes. Have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where Onyx Hunt comes in. And it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Thanks to all of our sponsors for making this network possible, helping us grow, helping us. We keep on growing, and it's been just a blast. So let's get to this. Buffalo Rumblings, I believe, is the name. Yeah, Buffalo Rumblings is the name of the website, and they just asked an interesting question from the Buffalo perspective. How did the Stefon Diggs trade work out? And the way it basically worked out, there are a lot of lower picks that got shipped. Basically, Vikings trade Diggs to the Bills because they had to get him out of the building. We all know that. They get the 22nd pick in the draft and some lower round picks back. It ends up being, because the Vikings were wise enough to take Justin Jefferson, which was not a guarantee that they were going to get a player of that caliber at 22. Basically, you got Justin Jefferson, Cam Bynum, and some players that didn't really work out for. And the Buffalo got Stefon Diggs, a cornerback named Dane Jackson, and then the high pick they got when they traded Diggs to Houston. So they got a very good wide receiver who helped them win a lot of games. They got a high pick. They got a good cornerback, and the Vikings get Justin Jefferson and Cam Bynum. I think we think the Vikings won this deal, but it's not quite as lopsided as you might think.
Yeah, I mean, you always look at it like kind of you look in the context of how what teams are making these trades and what they're trying to accomplish. Would it have been great for Buffalo to stay at, not make that trade and then draft Justin Jefferson and go forward? Yeah, probably. But Diggs was incredibly productive for the Bills during his time there. Now, it seems like, and I paid some attention to it, but not a ton, but it seems like there was similar exits from Buffalo and Minnesota in terms of just, all right, we've had kind of enough of Stefon. Now it's time to move on type of a thing. But he gave Josh Allen a true number one wide receiver, caught a ton of balls, touchdowns, got that offense going. And then for them to be able to pivot off of that and still keep, the return going on it was good. This was not a situation where the Raiders traded Randy Moss and got not much from him. And then, the Vikings draft Troy Williamson with that pick, and that doesn't work out. And both teams kind of lose in that whole deal. I think, yes, I would absolutely take the Vikings with what they've got, because Jefferson in particular is maybe the best receiver in the league and it seems to be on his way to just lofty status in the league. And then Cam Bynum was a very good player for them for several years. And, but I don't want to discount what Buffalo got there. They won a ton of games. They got to the playoffs. They did some great things with Stefon Diggs, and that shouldn't be just completely overlooked because of what Jefferson has become there. Because the other part of it is, like you said, Jim, it does not guarantee that Jefferson would have gone to Buffalo, or anything like that. So there's a lot of what ifs and things in that nature. But I think overall, you get the production you got from Stefan Diggs, like you feel pretty good about what you got there.
Yeah, and it's always easy to rip former general managers, former decision makers after they're gone. And, Rick Spielman, he burned a few bridges on his way out of town here, so he's easy to pick on. But that is some serious jujitsu there. You know you have to trade Diggs. Everybody else knows you have to trade Diggs. You trade him for a 22nd pick in the draft, which isn't a guarantee it's going to be a good player.
Mm-hmm.
And you get Justin Jefferson. And let's remember, people, when Randy Moss slipped, everybody knew that the talent was there. They didn't know about character or how he would behave or whatever else, but they knew the talent was there, and the Vikings just took advantage of it. And I think the Vikings also did their homework on people who knew Randy, and they thought he would be a great player and wouldn't. And even if he was a difficult personality, it wasn't going to keep him from being a great player. People weren't sitting around saying, "Oh, Justin Jefferson's a lock to be a great player." He was incredibly productive in college. He wasn't particularly big. He wasn't the fastest guy when it came to straight line speed. You had to be a sharp evaluator to identify him as a potentially great player. So they nailed it. Trading Diggs when they had to, getting a good pick, and then turning that pick into Justin Jefferson. That's an amazing turn of events.
Yeah, absolutely. And because in the moment when they made the pick, it was kind of like he was the third or fourth receiver to go. And so you're like, okay, but are they just trying to replace Diggs and
Roy Williams move, or is it
Yep. Are they doing it just because they feel like they have to, kind of a thing? And how good can this guy be? But what also does need to be mentioned again is like, we've seen the video of them on the clock and the Eagles taking Rager and how happy the Vikings were. And this was not like fake happy for the camera. Let's make it look like we're really excited about this. Like, this was genuine excitement that, hey, we just got a potentially great pick here. And there's a lot of people that are like, okay, well, let's see what happens. I'm not sure. Is he a slot receiver? Is he outside? All of these things. But Jefferson, the Vikings loved him. They really thought highly of him. Did they think he would be this? Maybe not. But I think that they, in their hearts, believed that they were picking a guy that could make a real impact, and it has proven out that way. So Rick Spielman, Ryan Monens, like all the scouts, like all those guys, like they deserve credit for that, because they saw it pretty darn clearly and were begging and hoping and praying that the Eagles were going to pass on him, and it worked out.
In the last segment, I'll tell you what 4 receivers went ahead of Justin Jefferson, if you don't remember. And we'll also talk about Aaron Rodgers. We might be giggling a little bit as we do it. First of all, I want to have Talk North star Michael Russo tell you about Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
And I want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria, Scott Dayton's Twill in the Edina Galleria, Twill WMN.com is the website. I'm wearing my Johnny O hat. I'm wearing one of my many Peter Millar shirts. Johnny O and Peter Millar are two of my favorite brands out of Twill in the Edina Galleria. When I've been going to Wolves games lately, I've been wearing my Dingman shoes. I've been wearing my Brax pants, my either Peter Millar or Johnny O shirts, pullovers. The Wolves games are weird because they're really cold, and then they turn on the fire jets before the game and singe your eyebrows. You need to be prepared for all kinds of different temperatures in that building. And I just use all my Twill stuff. And as we do more shows here at TalkNorth.com on video, I'll be wearing more Twill stuff because it's really simple. I don't always try to look good. Sometimes I'm very happy being a slob, and I wear old sweats and T-shirts. If I'm trying to look presentable in any way, Talk North meetings, sponsor meetings, big games, going out in public, going out to dinner, I just put on something I bought at Twill. It's just that simple. If I put on something I bought at Twill, I'm going to look good. I'm playing a Randy Shavers golf tournament on Monday. I'm going to wear Twill stuff to that too. Golf, walk around town, dinner, whatever. TwillMN.com. Go to Twill in the Edina Galleria. They're laid back. They love talking sports. They're nice people. Tell them we sent you. You'll have a good time, and you'll end up walking out with something great. I also want to tell you about Natrium, natrium.com, Natreum.com. Someone who try to keep myself in shape. I end up with sometimes tendonitis, sometimes sore muscles, sometimes sore joints. Natrium helps. They have some gummies, they have some candies, they have some things you can take that just kind of take the edge off. But they also have balms I can put right on a sore muscle, a sore joint, and in about 15 minutes, I feel better. Goes on. It's not greasy. It doesn't smell like Ben Gay. It goes on, and you don't even know it's there, except that it makes you feel better within 15 minutes. They also have drinks. They have an incredible number of products. I would go to the store in St. Louis Park, have a sales associate help you with what you want to get out of their products, whether it's fun, pain relief, stress relief, sleep. And then once you know what you want, then you can order your stuff at Natrium.com. Natreum.com, Natrium.com. All right, so the four receivers who went before Justin Jefferson in the 2020 draft. Henry Ruggs, Alabama. He was the first receiver to go at 12. The next one, Jerry Jeudy. Now Jerry's a good player, but he's not Justin Jefferson. Also out of Alabama, and he went to the Broncos. Then CeeDee Lamb, who's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He goes to the Cowboys, and he is a tremendous player. And then Jalen Reagor to the Eagles. It is a testament to how good Howie Roseman and the Eagles are at drafting that they could miss on that pick that badly and still put together the roster they put together.
And also on the flip side, Jim, just like also an indication of even the best GMs miss.
Yes.
Like in the first round. It is a very difficult thing to draft and draft well. And Roseman does it as well as anybody. I mean, think him and, Baltimore are probably like two of the very best drafting organizations in the league. And so, when we kind of always go back and look and, they didn't get this or they didn't get that. Of course, like there are varying degrees of success, but every single one of these guys who the very best talent evaluators, the very best guys with feel for what they need and who can fit, fan. And the Jalen Reagor pick was a whiff of epic proportions given who exactly went right behind him.
Yes. All right. Let's get to Aaron Rodgers. He was at some event and somebody asked him if he wanted to play for the Bears. He says, no, but I might be playing for a team that plays against Chicago. Another obvious reference to the Steelers. We've had two major hints from him this summer. One was he went out and threw with DK Metcalf, who's now with the Steelers in LA. And the other one was him making that reference, which was obviously aimed at playing for the Steelers. He's pretty much let it be known that he doesn't want to play for the Saints, another team that wants a quarterback. So I believe he's going to play. I believe he's going to play for the Steelers. I also believe he's going to continue to make things as difficult as possible, get as much attention as possible, and put the Steelers in as uncomfortable a position as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's like, is he just trying to dare them not to sign him? Like that's what I wonder right now. I wonder if he just in his heart of hearts does not want to play and says, I'm just going to keep doing weird stuff. And hopefully they'll finally just say, no, look, we're not going to do this. Like we can't go forward with it. I don't know. It's so hard to, I don't even want to pretend to be able to read the mind of Aaron Rodgers, what he is thinking or what he is doing. But the way that this is all unfolding does not feel like it's lining up for success. I'm sure there are other examples, but I just can't think of any off the top of my head, Jim, where it's like there's a bunch of drama or hemming and hawing and subterfuge and all that, and then the guy signs and it turns out it's great. Like I just keep thinking back to Favre, like his second time around here. Like he did not want to play here. They convinced him to do it. He came back and it was an abject disaster. Like I've wondered over the last couple of years, does Aaron Rodgers really want to keep doing this? And all of the actions say that he probably doesn't, but maybe he doesn't know what else to do or what, but it just does not seem like this is going in a healthy direction and that, he's going to sign and then show up and light the world on fire for the Steelers. It's a hard thing for me to envision at this point.
I think I have just a slightly different angle on this. I think he loves attention. I think he loves dragging things out. I don't think he has any interest in practicing football in the summer. And I think he knows he has them by the short hairs. They need him. They know they need him. I think he loves having that power over them. And I think he loves being able to dictate coming in when he wants to come in. And I think that part he learned from Favre. Favre did not want to practice in Mankato. Favre until training camp was over and then signed. I think he learned that part from Favre. The thing about Favre in 2009 and Rodgers today is that Favre still had it. Favre was very driven to win. And Favre, when he was engaged, was a workaholic. And listen, there are a lot of reasons to not like Brett Favre, and I'm in line with all of them. But as just a football player, he was a really good teammate. He was brilliant. He studied the heck out of the game. He carried his iPad everywhere he went. He put in all the extra hours that you have to put in to be a great quarterback. I think Rodgers, at this point, wants all the trappings of being a great quarterback without putting any of the effort into it. I think he likes the money, the attention, the power, and I think he will sign with the Steelers as late as he can, and he's going to come in and he's going to be terrible. Because I still go back to the Jets experience. Everybody who's a high-level NFL analyst, what did they say about the Jets? Great roster, all they need is a quarterback. They went 5-12 last year. They went 5-12. He had a great number one receiver. He had decent backup receivers. He had two great running backs, good offensive line, or at least a decent offensive line, great defense, and they went 5-12. It ain't going to get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I keep getting hung up on. And I mean, I understand desperation and all of these things where the Steelers are at with their quarterback, but like, I just wonder at what point when you're the Steelers, do you say it's not worth it? Like you said, I mean, this is not Brett Favre coming in and you believe that he's just going to be all the way in, that he's going to light the world on fire, like all of this stuff. Like Rodgers hasn't done that for several years. Like he was okay at times with the Jets, but in general, he's hurt or ineffective on talented teams. And you deal with all of this other stuff. Like I know with Favre, the second year, they had a bunch of drama, off the field and all of that stuff. Again, he did not want to come back. He was not asking to come back. He was saying, do not bring me back. And they begged and pleaded him and said, no, we need you. You have to come back. And he did, unwittingly and begrudgingly. And then it all blew up. But what in 2009, when he was here, like it was football. Like that was it. Like there's nothing else that Brett Favre brought to the table. Like Aaron Rodgers brings all of this other gunk with him. And he's not he has not shown to be good enough to be worth enduring all of that.
Nope.
And so I guess that's the thing. The Steelers are a smart organization. Mike Tomlin's really good. Like their GM Colbert, he's like, they're good, like smart people, but this just does not seem smart at all to me. And it just seems to be like asking for trouble and headache and all of the things that come with it.
Yes, and I think we've talked enough about Aaron Rodgers. Hey, thanks for listening to the Viking Update Show. Check out Alec Lewis's new Vikings show. Check out Jeff Diamond's Vikings show, the former Viking general manager. Check out the John Krawczynski show on the Wolves. Always great stuff. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you next week.